Hi, this is Anson from AnsonAlex.com. Today what I'd like to talk about is how passive income is important in improving your lifestyle. As some of you may or may not know, I currently work full-time as an IT administrator, and about a year and a half ago I began building my own brand, AnsonAlex.com, and since it has evolved into my YouTube channel and a good deal of freelance work as well. And really one of the motivating factors in doing that was when I started researching the idea of passive income. So I'd like to share that with you today. And I think to start off, it's important to understand the difference between active and passive income. Active income is how most people earn their livings, and it's basically trading your time for money. So if you are paid hourly or by salary, you are earning an active income. Either you're trading 1 hour of time for a certain amount of money or a year's worth of time for a certain amount of money. But the real caveat to that is, say you're an hourly employee, if you work 1 hour of time and get paid $5, you're never, ever, ever going to get paid for that 1 hour again. It's sunk. If you want to make more money, you have to work more hours. And it's almost a never-ending cycle. And I've kind of done a lot of thinking about that, and I was like, there's got to be a different way. And so I really started looking into passive income. And what passive income is it's the idea that you can spend your time doing something, and whatever you do will end up making money for you, maybe not forever, but for a good amount of time into the future without you doing any more work on it. Now, if you want to increase your income, you will have to do maintenance or updates and actually do more work on what you're doing, but it is definitely a more long-term solution for earning a living. And I think one of the common misconceptions about passive income is that it's a get-rich-quick thing. And it's definitely not. It's almost the opposite. It's a get-rich-slow thing. It's not like you're going to... Now, sometimes it happens, but for the most of the time, you're not going to write a book and all of a sudden become rich. Now, if you're J.K. Rowling and you write Harry Potter, it happens. But for the most part, you're going to have to continue to work. It just takes a little bit of stress out of your life. So some examples of people who earn passive incomes are book authors. They write a book and they get royalties on that book for the rest of their life or for a long time afterwards. Musicians, and they create songs, and artists are all examples of people who earn passive incomes. They might also earn active incomes. It really depends on the situation. But for the most part, they earn passive incomes. And I think, like I said earlier, it's not a get-rich-quick thing. So you might say, well, then what's the point? If I'm going to have to keep working anyways, then why should I choose a passive income over active income? And for me, the reason for that is to really take stress out of my life. And I think another big thing to think about is most people who earn a passive income earn that income from multiple sources of income. So if you work a normal job, getting paid hourly or salary, you are earning your money from one source. So if something happens, the economy changes, the company decides to restructure, or they just don't think you're a right fit, just like that, in one day, you can have your entire 100% of your income cut off. And you might go for a few weeks without any sources of income. So, right now I am still working and earning an active income, but I also am earning a passive income. So if my active income were to get cut off, I would still have some money coming in. And as I mentioned a few minutes ago, most people who earn passive incomes take it from different sources. So what you kind of do is it's almost like diversifying your investments. It's diversifying your income. So if one of those sources of income, something happens, something changes that you might not expect, and all of a sudden it gets cut off, you might have income coming in from 3 or 4 other sources. You can maybe concentrate more on those sources to try and generate a little bit more income, or you can try and find new sources to earn that income. So I think it's really something to think about, especially when you think of the fact that of all our resources and assets we have on this planet, to me at least, time is by far and undoubtedly the most important resource we have. So if we're just directly trading our time for money, it doesn't seem like it's worth it for me. I would rather have a long-term solution. And like I said, you're going to have to keep working, but to me it takes a little bit of stress out of your life. You know that if something happens with your family or a big event occurs and you can't necessarily work for a week or two, you have to go take care of your family with an active income, unless you have been there for a while and have a lot of vacation and whatnot. You wouldn't be able to go help your family, or you'd have to quit your job and you'd have no income coming in. With a passive income, you could maybe take a week or two off, maybe do some minor things to help keep that income coming in, but you could go and do what you need to do, still be making money, and then once times change, you can go back to finding new sources of passive income or improving on the ones you have. So I definitely think it's something to think about. Like I said, it's not a get-rich-quick scheme, but it should take some stress out of your life if you can start building up sources of passive income. Like I said, I still work full-time at doing active income. So I think if you are currently earning active income and you like the idea of passive income, a good way to approach it is to start building those sources of passive income on the side while you're still earning active income. Obviously, you want to work hard at your whatever job you're working at. You don't want to sacrifice your work quality there for something you're doing on the side. But if you have a little bit of extra time on the weekends, after work, I even use my lunch hours. I have an hour at lunch, I eat real quick, and I do some work at lunch to increase my passive income, which for me just takes stress out of my life and allows me to plan for the long term a little bit better. So it's definitely something to think about. I'd love to hear what your thoughts are. Go ahead and leave comments in the comments section on YouTube or on my site, AnsonAlex.com. Video responses, examples. Just tell me what you think about passive income, because I definitely think it's something that's worth researching and taking a look at to help improve your lifestyle. So again, this is Anson from AnsonAlex.com.